All right, welcome to Gen X Rated Thursday edition. Another special guest today without Uncle Bill being here. We've got Carol, who I call Eddie. I appreciate you joining me, Eddie.
Yep, lovely to be here.
Well, always a pleasure. We talk quite a bit, but I have yet to have you on the pod, so really happy to have you.
Yep.
Appreciate your insight and your knowledge, and people will get to see how smart you are.
Oh, lovely.
So I don't know where you want to start. We're going to keep it short today, but there's all kinds of stuff going on. I could start with this guy who's out on the links as usual. A lot of turnover.
Most of his time golfing.
Yeah, a lot of time golfing. Statistically, he spent 45% of his presidency golfing. We pay for those golf carts, so that's always something we can look forward to picking up the tab, which is lame. But 253 days out of 568, he's golfed. It's insane.
Wow.
To that
I was
point,
wondering, it's like the little Pope Mobile. Is it like bulletproof?
It is not. But on Tuesday, we showed where he was so freaked out that he had the missile launchers next to the golf cart because he was so concerned about Iran. That's something we can talk about as well. Apparently, the intelligence that was brought about was mainly through Israel. Turkey did not feel, and the CIA, that it was really much of a threat, but Trump's kind of a scaredy cat, to put it nicely. So he did the catering crate where he switched planes, put everybody on Air Force One, snuck out in the catering crate. And I think that's what drove off Karoline Leavitt. KK Karoline has officially resigned. I'll put up her picture. This is the picture she put up. It was AI generated. Oddly enough, she increased her cheekbones, lifted her breasts, and waistline. Crazy.
Wait, that was one that they put out on purpose, AI generated, or was
she
it?
Put it out. It was her farewell. Yeah, she said goodbye.
Well, she wants to look good when she says goodbye.
Well, of course, but she has a $100 million man at home and 2 kids, so she's going to spend more time at home. That was kind of the thing, but there's been video released. She wasn't very happy being left off the plane. She thought she was #1 blonde, but it turns out that it's Natalie Harp. When Natalie Harp went on the
she went in the catering crate too, eh?
She went on the safe plane. Apparently, she freaked out when she was told he wasn't on the plane. They have a very weird relationship. I think we all know that. Very odd. There's Natalie. Natalie is starting to look more and more like Ivanka every day. It's a little bit creepy. Some people
went crazy.
The diaper genie. She is the one that carries the diaper bag. She really cares about this man quite a bit. But I think it did drive off KK Karoline because that used to be her spot. So
I know. Maybe she got rid of all her diaper genie products with the new baby. Tossed him to the curb.
Well, maybe. And I just feel like Natalie has this skill set that is really just bizarre. But anyway, that's his relationship with her.
Well, like we said, it's weird. He left everyone else on the other plane and didn't inform them of any risk whatsoever.
No, and he was asked about that. It's a good point. And he said that he was on the riskier plane, which makes people scratch their head. Like, what do you mean? Because you pulled this stunt so nobody knew you was on that plane. Why would that be the more dangerous
plane? Where was he going again? I just totally forget. Like, where was he going again?
It went to Britain. This was at NATO. This was on July 8th when they were leaving Turkey and heading over to Britain. That was the whole excuse why the new Air Force One that he took from Qatar, and then we paid $800 million to retrofit so it'd be safe, wasn't safe enough. So he let them fly that over to Britain for the troops to see it and check it out. It's all nonsense. We could talk about nonsense all day, but KK Karoline will be gone. Maybe that Scott Jensen guy from CNN might be the new press secretary. They just need somebody that can tell a good tale and
believe it.
And believe it, yeah. The Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it. Am I right?
Exactly.
So, KK Karoline's going to be gone. She's going to do some stuff with the Republicans, I guess. But it's just how this regime works.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird because, the whole, being afraid of Iran, like putting the missiles there or whatever with the golf course. I mean, really, who instigated the thing with Iran? You know what I mean? Wasn't this an excursion? What was this again?
Yeah.
How many days? 7 months? How many months are we into an excursion?
It's a little crazy. He's really pretty much stuck, and it's affecting all of us. Gas in 22 states has hit $5 a gallon. But the issue is that when you talk to his money people, Lutnick, the manufacturing is going crazy in this country. We're making so much money off manufacturing. These are lies. Scott Bessent comes out and says, in your heart of hearts, you know you're doing real good. I don't think so.
Not so much.
No, and he's worth about $500 million, so that's easy to say. The government numbers for July did come out. We took in $334 billion, but we spent $766 billion. That's a record for July's budget deficit, $432 billion deficit in 1 month.
Unbelievable.
I mean, how sustainable is this?
Well, the thing is, it's not sustainable, and that's the problem. And not only is it not sustainable, it's not sustainable for generations to come. I mean,
You're
we're
right.
just basically condemning all future American generations for.
I touched on this on Tuesday, and it's something that if I'm fortunate enough to have you back, we should talk about. You had mentioned that we don't have the birth rate to keep up the tax base to get close to even pushing towards changing the deficit. It's just not going to happen ever.
Yeah. No, and if anything, the problem is that because of the declining birth rate, it's even going to get more burdensome on the people who are here. And then you wonder if at what point would America start to default on this, because we simply don't have the taxpayer base. Because let's face it, a huge swath of people are going to be retiring in the next 15, 20, 30 years. Yeah. And then, right, their kids and their grandkids, there's not as many of them. So,
and to that point, if we would have done the old style where people, CEOs retired at 55, trained people, like we don't even have apprenticeships anymore for like painters, electricians. We went through a dry spell. Had those people retired instead of hanging on like the billionaires do now and the multi-tens of millionaires that stay in these as consultants or just as the CEO bringing in all this cash, would it have changed the direction that we're going in if you would have allowed more people to come in and rise a little bit, as opposed to just being middle management
and it's such a complex picture, because when you start to look at it, it's not just that, it's also looking at, again, having a living wage and people being able to actually have children. Because when you look at things like the cost of healthcare, the cost of childcare, when you look at basically the ramifications for women who have children who are in the workforce versus men, I mean, all of these things, it's a confluence of events that comes together that make people make the logical, it is a logical decision not to have children in today's society.
It's because
it's too much.
We didn't even talk about affordability of groceries. I mean, you do have to feed these little minions, and
you do.
Colleges are not cheap either. So we gutted the public schools. We don't want to have socialized education along with our socialized fire department and police department.
And water, don't forget all those regulations. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody and they were like, they're like, we have a representative democracy because straight up democracy doesn't work. There's too many people. But in the same way, I think I was talking to you and I think of it, people always get so angry about this whole socialism thing. But so much of what we have, you have to bring in social aspects because you live together in a society. You're together. We're not little, tribes, with a cluster of 100 people here and there. We have large cities.
That's a great point. And if you were successful, why wouldn't you want your tax money to go towards roads and seniors and public education? I mean, instead, we're just interested in hoarding. I mean, these billionaires are literally money hoarders.
I mean, and like when you think about it, it's really a society, you want to build a society that will be there for you when you are an elder, right? The same way tribes are there for their elders as people get older. And it's really interesting when you start looking at it because you think about it, and I've talked to people who are like, oh, it's probably a good thing, the environment, climate change, it's good, we're like losing, decreasing birth rate. But then when you look at all these economic and social implications of what happens with a decreasing birth rate, you realize like it's actually not a good thing, and it's really something that has to be planned out.
But do you go to the next step as a government where you start restricting women's health? Where we're going to force these items. We talked about the ICE camps in Texas where these teens and younger are being impregnated. Then they'll keep the babies in our country, and then they are deporting these moms that are children, frankly.
Yeah, I
It's crazy.
find that hard to believe. I'm just like, wow, how real is that?
Well, the
But I
videos are
wouldn't put
getting
anything.
out. The
I wouldn't
videos
put
are
anything
getting
past
out
it.
from
Yeah,
these camps. We are seeing the women from their perspective, the bruising, the abuse. I believe in this. I don't think this is something that people make up. We see how many people they're stuffing asses to elbows in these camps. And it's just,
yeah,
it brings us right back to this ICE. We have all kinds of money to fund ICE, but we don't have money to take care of those that actually need to be taken care of. I'm going to jump over to this too, since we're talking about taking care of people. This is the USS Abraham Lincoln. Finally, some families are getting the word out that these guys are not being well taken care of. We love our troops, but we don't seem to be taking care of our troops,
yeah.
at least in this case. They've been at sea for 250 days, 2 days on land of those 250 days. They were deployed November 21st. This is 8 months. It was supposed to end in May, and now you're getting
Yeah.
reports that they're rationing food. They don't have toothpaste. They don't have fresh vegetables. They don't have fresh fruits.
Well, because I don't think they were stocked for being out there this long, and this is just like a total. This is like a mismanagement. Like, who the heck just deployed them for that long and then never gave them the opportunity to give their guys a break, restock, refuel,
Sure.
resupply? I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't plan like 9 whole months and pack everything in and make sure I have enough. How many hundreds of people are on that ship?
A lot.
I
A lot.
mean,
And they're packed in there. They have moldy showers, broken toilets. Laundry's been down for weeks at a time. Stretches of no hot water, no soap, no deodorant. These are
it's just so.
horrible.
I mean, it's so unfair for our troops to be doing that to them. I
I
just.
couldn't agree more. So the report came out of the European press about they're putting it as a suicide, that soldiers are trying to jump off these carriers, this carrier in particular. Six noted instances of people trying to jump. It's not suicide. Apparently, the base for that is, and this is 5,000 soldiers on here.
Yeah.
The base is that they're trying to jump off to get taken off the boat. They don't
Or
want
like
to
a
die.
medical discharge. It's like catch-22, right? If you
It's
claim you're
Klinger all over
crazy.
again. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, at least do a mental health check on me from land, and if you put me back on, there was a 13-year-old veteran. His wife was like, he wants off, but he doesn't want to lose the 13 years that he put into his service. He truly believes in his military service and his career and in this country, but mental discipline and getting through this isn't easy, and
Yeah.
I can't imagine, honestly.
I can't either. And honestly, like, why would they think, like, I mean, we're saying it's not suicide because, like, but in a sense, it's like, if it were, how bad would it have to be on that ship for
Good
them to
point.
be like, okay, I'm ending it. I'm got to the point where like I can't even handle being here anymore.
Well, and these things are giant. You just, if you think about it like a cruise ship, those things are so big. People that jump off the side, you're basically getting sucked under to begin with. So I
Yeah.
don't think it's an attempted suicide. I think it is an attempt to get attention. I think it is attention to get off this boat. I mean, like,
Yeah.
this is crazy, and this isn't something that's normal. This
Yeah.
whole regime isn't normal.
And the
Except
thing is how much are they going to follow up on this, right? Like, when are we going to hear about this again? What happened to these troops? What happened to,
the
how
sick.
bad was that condition of that ship,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Can we get in there and take a look?
probably not. But Hegseth did come out today, and he said that those reports were totally misrepresented, and we give all that we can provide them. That doesn't mean they have all that they need. It just means that he's stating that they're giving all that they can to these ships. Now, they're sending the USS George Washington over just because this has gotten out to the point where it's extremely important for people to have this information. I think we lost your video.
I did. You did lose my video, and I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Okay, I hear you. That's pretty good. It was nothing on my end, so that's not a bad deal.
Yeah, right. Well, I let me see what I can do here.
Well, as you do that, just hearing you is plenty. Again, we don't have enough to supply these troops, but then we come back to the Kennedy Center. Once again, the Kennedy Center is an issue because Trump's embarrassed that they had his name taken off. So I'm going to put up this visual, which we saw before.
Okay.
They still have the facade covered so that you can't you can't see the signage. You can't pick out that his name was taken off because he's just all about himself, much like when he's flying on Air Force One. It's all about him. So the board voted, which is he's on the board and they're all about the board. You're back. And
I am back.
It's $250 million renovation. So the board voted today that, hey, we're going to do renovations. We're going to shut down the Kennedy Center for 2 years. It's going to cost $250 million. We have $250 million to do that. They're going to change the marble. They're going to work with the acoustics. This was something that was done under Obama, so it wasn't that long ago to do the updating. But again, this is all about him. It's all about the dear leader. So he's embarrassed by his name being taken down. So what are they going to do? They voted to inscribe Trump's name on the building because they're going to say restored and renovated Donald J. Trump. I mean, how tiny does your penis have to be? I'm just saying, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Well, and it's like, don't we have bigger problems? Like, don't we have bigger problems facing this country than like restoring and renovating
Yes.
the John F. Kennedy Center, which was just restored and renovated under Obama, like you said. I just feel like wasteful spending. Like you know what's so interesting to me is
waste,
like
fraud, and abuse.
I know you always get that waste, fraud, and abuse crap where they're like, well, did it really need to be renovated? The same thing with the reflecting pool. I mean, didn't that contract go to one of his cronies? And my thing is like, why can't we be putting this money into other like areas that actually need it? Yeah. Right? I mean, there's so many areas of society within the American society that could use support.
But we kind of turned it into something, if it doesn't benefit our dear leader, it's not worth investing in. The pool, I'm sure he got some.
And it's really, I know, but the catch is, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but the catch is like to him, benefit is like putting his name on a building. It's, you know what I mean? It's not even, it'd be different if benefiting him was like benefiting society in some way, shape, or form, but it's really just to stroke his ego.
Correct. And he's a bit of a narcissist. That is for sure. I wanted to move on to ICE because I feel like this is never going away. Holman was on the news again. These guys need protection. And the big story is that these guys are now going to spend $20 million on these gloves. These are called, they're gloves. They're generated low output voltage emitters. They basically shock you. I've seen several examples
of
them.
A taser in your hand.
Correct. Because they're like, well, we don't want to just go right to shooting people. That seems a little harsh. But look at these guys. I mean, who wants to see this coming down the road at you? It's crazy.
I know.
To that point, we can spend any kind of money on stuff that's going to restrict, us. This is another example of that. $20 million for these gloves. We don't have that kind of money.
Well, how much money did they give to ICE, right? Hopefully it's coming out of that budget, but we've already given billions of dollars we set aside for them. And I just don't understand how people cannot realize, like, this is a militia in our streets. Like, he is basically, created a militia in his name.
Well, and we talked about this on Tuesday, that they did a small sample of 60 ICE agents and Border Patrol people. 85% of them had sexual assault charges against them. Half of those were against children. Very, very bizarre.
And even like not saying that they're selecting for that, but it just shows you the types of, the kind of criteria, the types of people that, right? They want people who ethically are more than a gray zone, I would say, right? They want people who are going to push the limits and they're not going to care because they're just going to assume that, someone's going to come to the rescue, just like the January 6th, insurgents.
And they have blanket immunity from the government. They said that from day one. They won't be held accountable for any of this stuff. And that just goes down the line. They also will not share their video unless it benefits ICE. Yeah, so no body cam video unless it benefits ICE. You're not going to see shit. That point, the DC National Guard is staying, which was kind of old news, but they're staying in DC through 2029 at the cost of $1.4 billion. I don't know what they're doing there. Trump.
I was going to say, what's that? What is that? Why were they there? The National Guard. I know it's not ICE. ICE is separate, but
yeah, they just wanted to clean up the streets and make DC beautiful again because it was a
hellhole. I just remember the video online that was so funny. What was that? TikTok or Instagram? It went viral where the guy was playing like the Darth Vader march and he would follow around the National Guard. That was a good one.
As those guys were cleaning up leaves and trash. Well spent. It's crazy. I will say
again, when we speaking of these budgets, the retrofit on the plane, 800 million, the 250 million for the renovation of a building that doesn't need to be renovated, the 14 million for the reflecting pond that's already filled with scum. I mean, again, you could just go down the line and be like, okay, like, what if we put this money toward, actual programs that require support?
sure. Well, instead we're going to put it all into AI. So we don't even care about education anymore because each kid could have his own little AI instructor, and we can learn so much of what they want you to learn. Basically, it's right up there with the homeschooling thing, where people are afraid of public schools because it's so woke. We don't want them learning, this, that, or the other. But we're going to teach them at home, and that's to me.
They don't want them to learn critical thinking, right?
Sure.
They don't want them to be able to question.
And we tied that to the lack of reading, which is something we'd also talked about, where people just see black and white. They can't think for themselves. They don't want to dig any deeper. You can't really get to the crux of any issues because I'm just going to disagree with you or agree with you, but mainly disagree with you.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I wonder about the reading thing. We had talked about the fact that, right, people are reading so much less. And I find it to be interesting because all the short form videos, the TikToks, the Instagrams, everything, I feel like it's really creating almost like an ADHD generation where like people can't focus for that long anymore. Like,
it's the dopamine. I need more reels.
I know, but
I like
right. But I mean, sitting down to read a book that's like a 200-page book that requires some thought behind it, even if it's like a fictional like brain candy book, you still got to get through some of the like establishing the setting and the characters and the boring parts. Like it's not all like dopamine hit after dopamine hit.
But that all shapes a picture. Like we talked about this. When I read, let's just say like The Stand or something, Stephen King, it's 700 some pages. You're getting in depth on these characters. You're making your own, how they look in your own mind, just based on the description of what they do, how their appearance is described on there. But when you go to the movies and you see them and you're like, that's not how I pictured it at all. Now it's taking away from the storyline because now I'm kind of put off. This isn't how I envisioned it. And the book gives you so much more depth. The movie becomes eye candy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's interesting because I feel like it'd be really interesting to delve into whether or not like, our younger generations are struggling with the ability to focus and, basically the reading issue and all of these, like even some of the educational issues where they say some of the scores are dropping. Like they've looked at, and this was really interesting. I should find that we should put it in the show notes. I'll find it for you. But they had done studies looking at after you had the introduction, maybe you talked about this, after you had the introduction of computers, iPads, or technology into schools, and you looked at their scores, like their rankings just progressively.
Not to mention how long you could look at a screen, and that went down from like 2 minutes to like 40 seconds.
Yeah,
you just don't have the attention for it, and it's by design. You keep me entertained. I'm going to continue to watch the stuff I like. You know what I like. My algorithm.
So, and I just don't know how much you can learn over a screen. I know they've done studies with languages, especially things like Chinese or Mandarin, where people one-on-one with like young children acquiring language versus through a screen, and they showed that they were unable to acquire it like through a screen. So
I think it'd be tough, and that's when I talk about submerging yourself. Go to that country and have it spoken around you. It's the easiest way and quickest way to pick it up. Listen, I'm on 1,500 days of Duolingo, and I'm struggling. Okay.
I know, right? Go to the country. Go immersive.
I'm doing, I should, but I'm doing my best. It's vocabulary. It's like anything else. When I learned Spanish in college, you had to write down the vocabulary. I had to write it. I had to read it. I had to continue to go over it and manifest it, or else it doesn't work for me. So it's a process. I did want to point out with ice and with these zapping gloves that the Nazis also like to use electrocution and shock. So there is a precedent there. And I think that we're kind of way too into it, but here we are.
Yeah, but it's not a good precedent.
It isn't. And Tim and I on Tuesday talked about data, how you need the data. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, their statistics director resigned after Trump administration blocked the publishing of the monthly immigration data. So now the only remaining public source for data is ICE's website.
I would say that's kind of biased. I wouldn't trust that. I wouldn't trust that data.
I couldn't agree with you more. So Now you just don't have the data. Based on how we're running things and the fact that you were talking about electronics, et cetera, I wanted to jump to Duffy. I think we all remember when Duffy took a cross-country ride. You may have been stuck at an airport. It really didn't matter because he was driving cross-country with his family, telling you to get back to the roots of like family trips in the summer. And keep in mind that all of this was paid for. They even went on a cruise. All of it was paid for by the firms that he regulates, whether it was Toyota or the cruise ship lines, whatever. Duffy's we flew recently. It was a nightmare. All I could do was curse him the whole time I was there. But they just don't care. Most of these guys are on PJs. But what I wanted to talk about was the air traffic controllers. We've known for a long time since Reagan fired them, but this is a job that's highly stressful. It takes a special individual to do it, and we don't have enough of them. The training is generally about 2 years. So I saw Duffy's great historic best and brightest plan was to bring in gamers. So they've recruited 2,000 gamers to come in and be air traffic controllers. It used to take 2 years of training. Now they're dumbing that down to 5 months of training.
How are they going to evaluate their performance? I don't know. This doesn't seem like a good idea.
It sounds like a terrible idea, but they feel like these gamers can multitask. They have quick reactions like asteroids. It's kind of ridiculous because you can always restart a game, but air traffic.
I know. How many lives do you have in a game? Way more than you do if your plane goes down.
Yeah, pretty scary. So they have 2,000 more of these people, of these gamers in the pipeline that they're training or semi-training. They want to put them out to the biggest airports first. They started this in San Diego. I think they'll probably move on to LaGuardia maybe because they do have issues. But the air traffic controllers feeling, or at least one's feeling, was that these gamers' skill set doesn't replace the aptitude, discipline, and decision-making under pressure because, it's split second. These planes are on the same trajectory type of thing. We need to, yes, you need foresight, but you also need to be able to react. And this comes through, experience of doing it. These are difficult jobs. I had a friend whose dad was an air traffic controller in Boston. He was a drinker because of it, and it was a very stressful job. Not to mention, they put you out to pasture, I want to say at 55, maybe?
Yeah, I would think that that's something you could only do for not like decades of a career.
It would be hard. And we didn't
really... I can see where it's stressful. I mean, all those people's lives in your hands. And I don't even know like how many planes they have one air traffic controller like managing at one time. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot.
Well, it was a lot. But now it hasn't been as much because of the shortage.
Well, and then like when you're looking at them for gamers, like how much of a gamer do I have to be, right? Like, do you have to win international tournaments to be part of like the group that gets to be an air traffic controller? Well, maybe they're like, you know what? I'd rather go play my games.
He was like, you know what? He was so good at Donkey Kong, but he really sucked at flying. I mean, to your point, I agree with you 1,000%. The one saving grace might be that they still have to get through the 5 months training. The air traffic controller that wasn't named also said, the washout's pretty great. So they may not even actually get to the tower. That doesn't help the statistics as far as having number of qualified air traffic controllers to do the job. But we see how flying's going. You get delayed. If your plane needs service, all of a sudden you're on the ground. If Trump's flying someplace, they ground all aircraft. Next thing you know, the flight crew's over their time, so now they have to get off. You need a new flight crew, or you just don't. Melissa was supposed to be here today. She was flying to Pittsburgh from Los Angeles, and didn't happen. She ended up having to spend the night in Chicago. That's crazy. That's not how it used to be. And I feel like the powers that be and the people that could make this change are flying on PJs, so they really don't care.
Yeah.
And one of the first things Trump did for the airlines after they gave him $1 million was, you're not going to get your money back at the counter for canceled flights anymore. You may not get it in general. They may push it down to another flight at another time. You may have to add to that ticket if it's more expensive.
More expensive, yep.
Again, protecting the industry, but not taking care of the clients.
Well, and the same thing with Duffy and the firms that, he regulates, it's like which airline is giving the most money. Maybe those are the ones that are getting flights through. Like
that could very well be. And it's interesting you say that because when we were leaving Jersey, one of our party was flying to San Francisco. We were on the tarmac. We rolled out, then we stopped. We sat there literally for an hour. Then we went back to the gate. But the pilot kept saying, "Hey, I've submitted that we need another flight path," and he said they were hearing crickets. They heard nothing. Fortunately, our other party that was going to San Francisco, the air traffic out of New York, because that's who makes the call, gave them a different flight pattern to be able to fly. We didn't. We went back to the terminal, and then we sat and sat and sat and sat and sat and sat.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, I just don't know how you like trickle that down, but I could see where, right, again, I think that this is the administration of kind of like special treatment, depending on like if you pay your dues, right? You grease the right hands,
I think you're absolutely correct. And we've seen this before where, Taylor Farms is a great example. They were thumbed as the person that was making cyclosporia an issue for us in the lettuce. And then all of a sudden they had a meeting with the White House $1 million later. It was a false positive. Wasn't them. Then let's blame Mexico. Oh, it was a farm in Mexico. Come on, man. Just give it to me straight, because Missouri's number 3 right now and people getting sick based on that. And it's a roll of the die. And we've never not protected our food supply like we are today, which is...
And the thing is coming back to the data integrity thing, where you can't believe anything coming out of this administration. So it's just, they keep muddying the waters. They want people confused. They want people to not know what's going on, and you can't figure it out.
Distracted.
Like who did the cyclospora test, right? Who's managing that? Is that the USDA? Were they the ones who tested it? And who is like, right? I mean, tests have standards, but who's maintaining those standards nowadays? I mean,
sure. And then when you look at Kennedy at the HHS, I mean, what are you doing, man? Like, we used to check for 11 pathogens. Now we're checking for 2 pathogens. Also, the salmonella with the chicken was an issue. That was 1.6 million chickens that were recalled. We went through this a year ago, and it was like the stuff in your freezer at Trader Joe's, you had a numbers on it so you could trace it and see if it was part of that batch. Now we just kind of wing it.
Right? No pun intended.
Yes, not very traceable. And that way you can't blame anybody either. There's certainly, no legal reaction.
No, I mean, it's, again, this is where like all of this money could be going to a better use with regard to like maintaining literally our infrastructure, our food supply, our energy supply, our basically, right, even like the people, like we said, the population, right, supporting the, they're all about the family unit, but hey, where's the support for the family unit? It's not there.
When you used to be able to have a single worker in the family and have somebody at home to take care of the kids, tend to your community type of thing, and not have to worry about, income. Used to be kind of a nice thing if you had that option, and we just don't have that option. I mean, you're working under W. Bush, it was 2 or 3 jobs. Wow, that's so American. And now we've just taken this wealth inequality to an extreme that's never been seen before. And to your point, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is the lowest it's ever been since we started filling it. So that keeps prices somewhat moderate. We talk about, the Venezuela oil that Trump got $1.2 billion that went somewhere. We're selling oil out of Texas. It's amazing, to foreign governments. Eventually it's going to catch up to us, and we're not going to have it.
Well, and the thing that's going to happen, it's going to catch up to us when like the next president or whoever's elected, hopefully a Democrat, but that'll be who's blamed, right? Because like, unfortunately, again, like that whole critical thinking is not there. And that, you can't look back and be like, hey, wait a second, something that started a few years ago is now coming to fruition, is now coming.
But they're still blaming Biden. Gas prices are Biden's fault. Like, what the heck, man?
I know. Well, yeah, but the thing is, and that's why, though, right? They're. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. Right. I mean, it's just they're going to blame who's ever next in office. It'll never be their fault. Honestly, like I've talked, the whole like party of fiscal conservatism. Let's face it, there hasn't been a single Republican president that's balanced the budget. Only Democratic presidents have balanced the budget. Every single one.
Very good point.
So
you're right about that. They just don't seem to care. I mean, Dick Cheney was the first to say deficits didn't matter. We're at 40 trillion. If you go on one of those wagering sites, within 4 years, we could be at 50 trillion. These are unsurpassable numbers, and you eventually start to feel it no matter how wealthy you are. I mean, the housing market sucks. We have so many people trying to unload their homes, but who can buy a house at 7% interest rates, and that would be low.
Yeah,
Background.
it's not affordable.
I mean, this is worse than when we had 18% interest during the inflation times in the 80s.
I know.
I mean, it's kind of uncharted, and our leadership really isn't factoring in how bad this could be, because they're raking it in. Trump said golden age, gas prices down, wages up, everything's amazing.
I'd be interested in how many private equity, like how many single family homes did private equity firms purchase up?
A lot.
Because before they came in and put a stop to it, which to me was like, it took forever. I mean, I'm surprised we were able to get enough support to do that, but it was important, because what are these PE firms going to do with those homes, right? I mean,
and then they moved on. We talked about they're buying veterinary clinics. Good luck getting your dog spayed or neutered for a decent price. Now they're buying
assisted living, is that right? Assisted living, I think, is next.
That's a big one too. And then marinas is the new thing, right?
Oh, interesting.
It's insane. I don't know. I think you put that money to better use. We've talked about this before, where you had the Mellons and the Carnegies and stuff. They weren't allowed to take the money with them. They weren't allowed to create little royal families. So they gave to the arts. They gave to their community. Yeah. They gave back. They weren't taking it with them necessarily. And now we're like drowning Trump's kids with wealth. It's ridiculous. Whether they're in drone contracts with our military or fill in the blank.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but that's the other thing is right. The fact that he's just basically rebuilt the DOJ to be like, another arm of the executive branch. It has absolutely nothing to do with actually enforcing the law or.
He said he's going to do everything that's right, is what Blanche said. To your point, you're absolutely right. The first and foremost is the Epstein files. It's something we don't talk about. We have so many victims out there. Based on this term with Trump, sex trafficking prosecutions plummeted, even though they said that was their top priority. We just don't do it. We just don't care. When Blanche finally did meet with the victims, he was like, get to the point. He felt that he was off put by them, and he wanted no part of it. And then when they ask about lists, he says, there are no lists.
85% of their ICE employees are coming from that cadre of people. So
very small sample, but I feel like this sex trafficking is like OJ still looking for the killers, right? RIP Juice, but I'm just saying, we're looking everywhere, high and low. Did you look in the Oval Office?
No, because he's making sure he's barricaded in there and protected from any of that prosecution. Well, again, right, this is where we're going to be feeling this for decades, generations. Like
the ballroom, right? I mean, it just goes on. The list goes on of this grift and nonsense. One last thing before I let you go. Apparently, Luigi is going to plead guilty. His trial was supposed to start this month. He has a hearing tomorrow. I'm assuming that he'll get some kind of plea where they don't put him to death. And I bet he's being treated really well in jail by the inmates, because I don't think there's a whole lot of sympathy for United Healthcare. Even losing their CEO, they're still making $1.6 billion per quarter. So they're doing all right.
They're getting by. They're getting by. Yeah, and I wondered, interesting you brought Luigi up, because I was thinking about those other two guys that had gotten, the attempts on Trump. Like, whatever happened to those guys? They're not in the news anymore. I've never even heard back about those guys. What, do we know anything? Are they, what?
I'm just saying, it's like Butler. It's like the guy that happened to have a gun outside of the golf course in Florida for 8 hours that never was actually in sight of Trump. They just use these tactics. Meanwhile, we know every president has had death threats. We do know that Obama had several attempts, but you don't advertise it. And he reacted like a president, in that's not his focus. Whereas this guy, we saw that eagle flapped on his desk and he panicked. We saw a backfire when he was at the Tampa hangar giving a speech. That he ducked under the thing, and he's a coward. So to be fight, not a chance. Not a chance, Eddie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to keep you over time. I really appreciate it. I think you've been great today, and always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm going to put you on the spot for a happy ending.
Oh my God, a happy ending?
Got anything?
It's almost Friday. Can I say that?
I would take that, sure. And I'll throw in that the Steelers have their first preseason football game against Green Bay tonight, so we'll get to see the backup quarterbacks. Very exciting. And I think the Pirates broke their streak of 7 straight losses by finally winning.
Wow.
So happy.
How many do they play?
162 games.
Oh yeah, so they got,
No,
7
they're
losses.
toast. They're done, but I'm a
They're
Pirate
done.
fan,
Okay.
so I'll go with it.
All right.
Anyway, Eddie, I hope you'll consider maybe coming back sometime. Really
Yeah.
catching up with you.
All right. Sounds good.
Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Thanks again for coming on, and I will.
Thanks for having me.
You're
Always
welcome. I'll
fun.
talk to you soon.
Bye.
See ya.